There's nothing left to be said about Lionel Messi, the 8-time Ballon d'Or winner. So what do you want to say?
I think what happened at the World Cup gives him the nod for me. I know there's an argument now because they've changed. I mean, we were talking, weren't we, about Darren and I were talking about the criteria for winning the dates, because it used to be a calendar year. Now it's gone back to being a season, it's now a season. So there is an argument for Haaland, of course, with what he's done. But that World Cup will live in the memory of many for 100%. A long, long time. And what was it that made it so memorable and special? It was that man. Yeah. And what he achieved and how he more or less single-handedly won that World Cup for Argentina. 100%. And don't think we've seen anything like that since '86. So,
where amazingly, his predecessor in Argentina did exactly the same thing and took a largely average team on his back and said, I'm going to win this World Cup.
Yeah, so I'm happy for him. I'm really happy for him. This is going to be his last one, so why not, you know. He's a generational talent. He's somebody who I think we all admire for all the right reasons, and that achievement, what he did, is the one reason I would edge it towards him.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's not winning the sympathy vote here. He was. I was at the World Cup final, and let me tell you, there were experienced journalists nudging each other like we are watching one of the all-time great sporting occasions, not a brilliant football match. One of the all-time great sporting occasions.
Although a great player did get a hat-trick.
Well, that's exactly why it was one of the all-time great sporting occasions, because a great player did get a hat-trick.
Well,
but
it became a great match after about 80 minutes.
Yeah, because but it was almost as if Mbappe decided, you know what, I'm going to do this on my own. You know, but by then, Messi was already in the zone, and he was determined, and the team around him were determined we're not going to lose that match. But to get them there in the first place, Messi time and again, and when you consider the amount of pressure on his shoulders when he puts on an Argentina shirt every single time to deliver, but he does it. And I even think his numbers for PSG
they were all right. They were decent.
Yeah, I was going to probably. Yeah, I'll use that.
The mixture was completely wrong at the club, though, between all the players they had.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't think he can be blamed for what happened there.
I think he had 20 plus goals and 20 plus assists.
Exactly.
I mean, it's hardly shambles, isn't it?
Exactly.
I mean, and in their ridiculous qualifying tournament for the South Americans in the current World Cup, where virtually every team qualifies. The Argentinians found a new way of doing it now. They go to places where it might not be to his liking, high altitude, things like that. He starts on the bench and comes on and wins the game in the last 20 minutes. It's extraordinary. Actually, Darren, you're really interesting me there because you were there in that final. I mean, watching it on television, Danny's absolutely right. For 70 minutes, I thought these two teams are just wearing each other out. There's nothing here. And then suddenly it became this joust between two fabulous footballers. You're very lucky, Darren, to have been there and seen it with your own eyes, because although television coverage is fantastic, this is something, because you were there, smelled the smells, heard the noises, it's going to stay with you for the rest of your life, isn't it?
Honestly, it's probably the single greatest sporting experience I've had in my career, because to see one player at a World Cup performing at a high level, that's a golden ticket. To see two in the same match is incredible. And to see two in the same match delivering in the way that they did, even better still. And that, for me, the emotion that surrounded it, the gladiatorial spirit in the match itself, the refusal to lose from I want to say France, but actually it was Mbappe who decided he was going to do it on his own. And Messi deciding, I'm gonna respond, and he did. And yeah, it was just a fabulous football match, but a magnificent sporting occasion. And to be in that stadium, honestly, it was a real privilege.
Well, I feel the same after I've just heard Danny say to you after 2 hours, 40 minutes, and God knows how many weeks and shows that you've said something that really interested me.
Yeah.
I know. That's showbiz, Dan.
I was there when that happened. That live in my memory.
I made a note on this piece of paper. Darren said something interesting there, yeah.
Hold on, let me jot down the dates.
That's right.
Yeah, and the time. Yeah, and the GPS it as well, wherever he is.
I was there.
Danny, which leads us to, I think, a lovely conundrum now, because after a decade and a half of Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi dominating the Ballon D'Or, now individual awards, I think I can take them or lead them personally, but we do know how important it is commercially, culturally, and all the rest of it just now. I think the occasional interruption from Luka Modric won it one year, didn't he? But the question now is, who are going to be the contenders now that these two great players are playing in perhaps lesser leagues and will perhaps have less spotlight? Who are the likely runners and riders for the next Ballon d'Or?
Well, I think the obvious two are Jude Bellingham and Haaland.
Yeah.
The other one I'd probably throw into that after seeing a couple of glimpses of him already this season with the potential he has, Musiala. I mean, he looks like...
What a player.
He looks incredible. Playing in a wonderful team, so if the club has success and he grows into that role, then maybe... a couple of young super talents at Barca, isn't there? We've talked about before, and
Pedri,
we've got loads Gavi and Pedri,
and then of course you've got Vinicius Junior and Mbappe, who are going to be around. And,
I was just going to add Mbappe, but I forgot about Vinicius. I mean, the problem is with what Jude's doing, you forget about everyone else. But yeah, I think it's going to be a much more widespread award, and I think there's going to be different winners now moving forward. I think that's great. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's
absolutely important as well. I mean, I know that the world has changed, and there have been many people a third my age who as much follow the great players as they do any one individual club. We know this from social media. You only have to look at it. People follow Lionel Messi regardless of where he plays. People follow Cristiano Ronaldo almost like a cult. Got to be careful with that on the radio at 9:30 in the evening.
Sorry, I've got to mention a young kid at PSG in midfield as well. What's Dan? Help me out. His name's got a... Zaori, is it? Or some? What's his name? Zaire Emery, that's it. Zaire Emery.
Yes.
Who, by the way, has not signed a contract yet. They haven't quite got the pen to paper with him.
17.
He's going to be the next superstar.
But yes. Is he at the level of the other players that we've been talking about yet? He's good. He's very good. But is he at the other level? Because the others are delivering now in big matches on big occasions.
He's a couple of years behind them, but he's got the capability. He's not got the capability of doing... Bellingham's... This is just phenomenal. We are talking about something
absolutely
ridiculous.
But Zaire Emery is doing what Jude was doing at Birmingham City 4 years ago, but in a much higher level.
And that's the reason why I personally don't think he's among the runners and riders just yet. I think he's in the next wave. And it might well be that when he gets to 19, what he's delivering, or 19, 20, what he's delivering can be comparable with the others because he's delivering as Bellingham was, or is at the moment at a young age.
His signing or not signing that contract at PSG is absolutely critical to that club. I'll tell you for why. Because Mbappe pointed this out during all the disputes of the last summer, that they have let a generation of French talent, all of it in the national team now, go because they prefer foreign imported superstars to their own Parisian boys. And if he chooses to go to, and we know that Real Madrid, Barcelona, Liverpool, Manchester, all the usual suspects are watching him. If he doesn't sign that contract, I believe he will, but if he doesn't, Paris Saint-Germain will have yet another setback, and Mbappe will have another reason to moan there. Because they've got to start making more use of the... I mean, let's be honest, England look like they could win the next European Championship. We'll talk about, Harry Kane, Jude Bellingham. But of course, to do that, they're going to have to overcome France at some stage. You just keep turning out generational talents for their national team.
Kick off, straight talking and straight to the point. Every Tuesday to Thursday night from 7 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.